Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. As we continue the discussion all about perfectionism, today I want to talk about a mindset that we all have had that is all about perfectionism that keeps us and holds us back from happiness. So let's see if any of these resonate with you. I could just be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be happy when I get my dream job. I'll be happy when I'm making over 6 figures. Everything will be perfect, and I'll be happy when we are living in our dream house. I'll be able to get to my dream when the kids are in school. Any of those connect? I'll be happy when I make enough money to do whatever I want. Here's one that I have a lot. I'll be happy when I can go to Disneyland. Thing is we have this I'll be happy, I'll be able to do this, everything will work out when mentality. Not all the time, but sometimes. I wager the bet that most of you listening have had at least one of those. Maybe not the Disneyland one, maybe you don't have children, so maybe not the kids one, but haven't we all said to ourselves, oh, if I only had X amount of money, then everything would be fine. If I only was down to this weight, everything would be fine. I'll be happy when I'm in top health. But then what happens is that we set ourselves up for a couple of things. One, it adds a lot of pressure to that idea, right? And this is what I mean by that. It adds a lot of pressure to the idea of losing weight. Because losing weight's not easy as it is. Now let's throw into the mix that my entire happiness depends on losing weight. So I better get it perfect. What does that do? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of anxiety you may not realize you have around losing weight. But what happens when we feel pressure and we have anxiety around a goal? We go back up. We are not going to go into that full blast because that's way too much pressure. And this idea of perfectionism, everything will be perfect when, adds that pressure, and so it keeps us from moving forward in our goals. It holds us back. Nice lean and nod to yesterday's episode 422 about perfectionism holding us back. But what I'm saying is that it adds a lot of pressure to those situations. I'll be happy when I have my dream job. So what happens every time you go into an interview? There's all this pressure that this better be the dream job, otherwise your life's going to continue to stay miserable. You may excel under that kind of pressure, but then here's the second piece of this. What happens if you get that? The pressure wasn't too much, you move forward in your goals, and then you get it. And then real life happens. Just because you lost the weight, just because you got the dream job, or you're making the 6 figures, or the kids are in school, doesn't change the fact that life happens. Life will give us challenges. And those challenges are here to help us learn and grow and progress, at least in my mind. And with that, that's how we can be happier. But life will happen to you. Life will happen for you. But if you've put so much pressure on once I make 6 figures, everything's going to be hunky-dory, and then it's not in all the areas of your life, that idea of perfectionism goes to the next thing. And what I mean by that is, well, I thought I was going to be happy when I made 6 figures, but now I'm going to be happy when I make 7. That's a pretty big jump from 100,000 to 1,000,000. And you're not happy now at the 100,000. Are you going to be happy at the 1,000,000? If you're not happy now with your kids around you, are you going to be happy when they're in school and you're left with yourself? That's the point of all this. We have to cut out the if-when statements. If I get this, or when I get this, I will be happy. When I get this, my life will be better. If I won the lottery, everything would be perfect. That doesn't solve it. what it really comes down to, and this is the clincher, right? What it really comes down to is finding happiness within yourself. And here's the really funny thing about that. When you can find happiness within yourself, when you can stop beating yourself up for that perfectionist mentality, when you can stop saying, I'll be happy when, and say, I'm happy now, regardless of what's going on, I'm working on myself, I'm aware of my emotions, I'm using positive release and empowerment emotional techniques. I am tracking and reporting my goals. I'm working with mentors and people that help me be my best self. And it's hard work, but I'm actually happy, regardless of everything else that's going on. It's really interesting because those goals that you had come so much faster. So much faster. It's not very often I share a lot of details about income and things like that, but I had a goal that I wanted to make 6 figures by the time I was 30. Now this is collectively 6 figures, so 6 figures annually, but as you may know, I do freelance work. I do monthly training classes here that build off of the podcast. You can check those out at happinessabound.com. And I also mentor one-on-one clients individually and have my day job. So collectively, I had a goal to make 6 figures by the time I was 30. And I was grossly under, like a lot under, 30,000 under for a long time. And I was like, I just kept on feeling like I'm never going to get it. Why? Because my brain, if I made 6 figures, then everything would just be beautiful and fine. Money problems would be solved. I'm great with money. We'd be out of debt. We could stay living with what we're currently making and have all that extra go towards things that, like a house, like credit card debt, all of that stuff. And so I had this, if I made 6 figures, then I'd be happy. And it wasn't until I started working on myself that that goal actually became more of a reality. First off, the pressure was off of it. And then second off, I started to change, me personally. And that started to bring everything else into alignment for me to have these opportunities to make more money. And fun little side note, 3 months before I turned 30, I hit that mark in a year. And it was fantastic and it was awesome, but it wasn't the pressure, and it was like, this is really cool. Like, I'm so glad that I put in the work. This is something I've wanted for a long time, and I was happy before. And it makes such a big difference. But the perfectionist mindset that everything will be perfect when you get whatever that goal is keeps you from it. And if it doesn't keep you from it, it keeps you from being happy about it. Because as soon as something else comes up, that dream of everything will be perfect when gets shattered, and then you feel like a failure and like you've held on to something for so long that didn't mean what you thought it meant, and then it wasn't perfect, and what do? You beat yourself up for it. So, point of today's episode, long roundabout 8 minutes in, point of today's episode is to have you take a look at any of those thoughts you may have had. Life will be so much better when I lose the weight. If only I could have that perfect job, then things would be awesome. If I could win the lottery, then I'd have no problems. When the kids are in school, that's when I can chase my dreams. Right? There's a lot of things like that in our lives. If I had the money to eat healthy, then I'd lose the weight and then everything would be perfect. You might be able to connect some of these, but you get where I'm going with on this. Take a look at any of those statements that you say to yourself and ask if you are attaching your happiness and a perfect life to that goal, and ask how that may be keeping you from it. And then start to evaluate how you could be happier now in the moment while still striving for that, but not attaching that perfectionist mindset. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Tomorrow we'll talk about asking the right questions, so stay tuned. But above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.